Hello, I'm Dominique and I'm a printmaker, photographer and writer, and my business is called Images, Voyages, Impression. Images because I make images, either photos or prints like woodcuts and lino cuts, but I also make images or stories because I write books, and I have photos that are also images and photo prints that are a technique I invented with two photos of the same place. As you can tell when I'm speaking, I'm French, and I'm coming from a town in the east of France called Épinal. And Épinal in France is very well known for its images, which have been made for at least 300 years, and they started to depict Napoleon War, but they were also used to do tarot cards and short stories. And in this town, people were coming to the factory, taking the prints, and then going villages to villages and selling them. And in a way, I think I'm still doing that because I do shows here and there. I do a lot of farmers market, open studios, and sometimes I do shows in indoor where I can show my bigger piece, but mainly I still think that I'm a kind of descendant of these people that were living in this town. I've lived in the US for 24 years now, and when I came here, I couldn't do what I was doing in France, so I decided to specialize in woodcuts and lino cuts and photos, and I named my business Images, Voyages, and Impression because I like to travel, and when I'm traveling, I have many impressions of what I'm seeing, and then I use this impression to do the images. And the images can be prints, but they also are stories that I write about the place where I've been based on photos. So I have done prints for 35 years and photos, and I wrote stories for 35 years too. And let's say my first 15 years were exploring in a certain way who I was, what I wanted to be, or what I wanted to do, or my inner self, if you want. And slowly I moved from that to what would interest you as a customer, or as someone seeing my work. So now, most of the time, I decide of a topic every year based on the feedback I had from people I saw during shows, and I bring photos, I bring images that I have, and I looked at them, and I start to plan what I'm going to do for the year. So this year, I decided to do whales and all things related to sea life, and mainly whales. A few years ago, I decided to do something for kids' rooms. So my wife had little stuffed animals all over the house. So I put them together and I looked at them and I said, what could I do with that? And I created some prints with that. Another year, I wrote a story which is a love story. So I decided to do heart. And so I have plenty of prints about that, about emotion. Another year, I said, oh, let's do something for the kitchen. So I looked at what we had in our kitchen, and I said, no, it's not going to work. So I decided to do coffee, tea, wine, and water. So I did small prints about that. And that's basically how I work now, trying to find images that you like, that you want to offer to your friends, and that make everyone smile and be happy. When I create something, I'd like it for you to make you laugh, to make you smile, to make you travel, and that's mainly, or to decorate your house. I don't try to express anything more than just joy and the fact that living is wonderful. When I create woodcuts or lino cuts, I use either wood blocks or linoleum blocks, and I draw on the blocks, and then I cut around the drawing using tools that are called gouges, and they are in V or in U, they are small instruments. And once I have the images in relief, I ink the relief and I put paper on top of the block and I press behind the paper, and then I get my image. And if I want some color, I use watercolor or I use colored pencil. It's not the traditional technique. The traditional technique would be one block, one color, but then you have to be able to register your plates, which is, I don't have the material to do that. And I was doing watercolor on one side at one point, and I decided to combine the two to put color on my prints. So as I told you before about my prints, at one point I decided to combine watercolor that I was doing on one side and printmaking. My last idea or creation, if you want, is to combine writing and photography and traveling. And the idea came because at one point I went to Nashville, Tennessee, and I wanted to research the town before going, and I didn't find any trails that would allow me to see the town quickly. And I thought you can find trails for countryside everywhere, but when it comes to town, you don't find anything. So I decided to create treks, walking treks for Boston. That's the first town. So I did 17 free self-guided tour of Boston, and it's called Urban Trekking Boston. And I combine the description of what I'm seeing and photos and tips where to go. And it's on and off the beaten track. On because there are many things interesting that everyone should see in Boston, but off because there are also many things outside the main track. And then I'm doing New York City. And my plan, if everything goes well and if I earn enough money with that, is to do Chicago and then go to other cities. So today we have been shooting this video at the gallery in Malden. The gallery, it's a new place in Malden Center, and it has been created by a group of volunteers, and it's a very vibrant place, and I've been part of it from the beginning, and I hope I will be part of it for a long time. Many towns try to have places like that to bring art and culture and entertainment and something special in their midst. And I think Malden is very lucky that without doing anything in a certain way, it happened, and it's here, and it will be here for a long time.